And we also sued Karen Bass, the mayor, directly. What they were doing is they were prioritizing illegal aliens over American citizens.
The Trump administration is now suing the city of Los Angeles over its sanctuary policies.
Of course, we as taxpayers, we don't get the sanctuary from crime. But the criminal aliens, they get the sanctuary. So it's a really bizarre situation here.
Sanctuary city means that if a foreign national.
All right, grace and peace, everybody. We're back. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. You know what we're about to talk about. We're going to talk about sanctuary cities and how the federal government is now suing LA because of their sanctuary city policies. Now, before we watch the video, down in the comments, let me know what is your understanding of sanctuary cities. So if you need to pause this video, make sure you hit that like button. Go ahead, just touch it. There you go. And then comment down below, what is a sanctuary city? What do you understand a sanctuary city to mean? Because I found several different clips, and it seems like there's a lot of different definitions of this term. So I think it makes sense. I know what the federal government is suing for, but also how it's being used is kind of different. So anyway, let me know what you think. Let's go.
The Trump administration is now suing the city of Los Angeles over its sanctuary policies.
The lawsuit claims that LA's sanctuary city ordinance hinders White House efforts to crack down on what it calls a, quote, crisis of illegal immigration. It is the latest in a string of lawsuits against so-called sanctuary jurisdictions, including New York, New Jersey, and Colorado, that limit cooperation with federal immigration authorities. This comes as the White House has stepped up immigration enforcement, including posting National Guard and U.S. Marines in Los Angeles.
And we also sued Karen Bass, the mayor, directly. What they were doing is they were prioritizing illegal aliens over American citizens, and you cannot do that. These sanctuary policies are the root of the cause of violent crime in our country, in LA.
How do you feel about the current state in California and the homeless problem that you have going on here?
Every month it's increasing. They say the numbers of homeless are going down. I don't.
So, okay, so Pam Bondi initially was talking about the sanctuary policy as it relates to illegal aliens. This gentleman here is going to talk about what it's like living in a sanctuary city. And it's totally different than what I understood. It totally is different. Now, he does hint a little bit about illegal aliens, but he's talking about a whole bunch of other stuff that also, I didn't realize they were doing this. So let me know what you think down in the comments below.
I believe it's not possible. They created a sanctuary state and a sanctuary city in LA. It means that more people come here, not only for free healthcare, but also for no prosecutions on crime. So the illegals that come here, they don't need a fair prosecution. So of course, homeless situation is increasing. You have the murder rate going up. I lived in Encino for 30 years. We had 12 murders last 4 years. Neighbors within a mile and a half got murdered. One 99-year-old man got chopped to pieces by a machete lunatic. And it's just increasing everywhere. Robberies. You see zombies on the Ventura Boulevard, all along Ventura Boulevard. You see zombies sitting at bus stations, lying in the street, dancing naked in the street. It's increasing every month for the last 4 years. So it's really crazy. And of course, we as taxpayers, we don't get the sanctuary from crime. But the criminal aliens, they get the sanctuary. So it's a really bizarre situation here.
Sanctuary city does not mean that the city or the state is going to protect you from ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or from being detained with immigration or deported. Sanctuary city means that if a foreign national has an encounter with law enforcement, like police or the sheriff, that law enforcement official is not going to contact ICE to come and detain or pick up that person. They are also not going to detain that person for the 48-hour requirement before ICE comes and gets them. So,
okay, so she's explaining more in line with what Pam Bondi was talking about, not what the man that lives in LA was talking about. So at the current moment, we got about two different definitions or two different usage of sanctuary city, which I think is extremely interesting. But let's go.
Basically, they're not going to cooperate with immigration in facilitating the detention or the transfer of a foreign national to immigration custody. Living in a sanctuary city or sanctuary state does not mean that a person cannot get picked up by immigration or they can't get detained or processed. That is not what it means. It only means that the local law enforcement won't cooperate with immigration and customs enforcement.
The Trump administration claims
Interesting.
that Los Angeles' law discriminates against federal law enforcement by treating them differently than other law enforcement agencies. Is that a legitimate argument?
Heather, probably not. Here's why. This pretty much was settled by Justice Scalia about 25, 28 years ago in a case where the Clinton administration wanted sheriffs to help with enforcement of gun laws. And the Supreme Court said you can't do that. They said that under the 10th Amendment, there's what's called the anti-commandeering principle. And what that is the federal government can't force local and state officials to help them do things. You can ask, and many times there's cooperation. It's very common that there's cooperation among police departments. But what sanctuary city means, and I do think it's a bit of a misnomer, is that what it really means is that there's a limited cooperation between state, local officials and the federal government. And under the 10th Amendment and under the reading of Justice Scalia, and Justice Thomas joined that opinion as well, it's perfectly okay to do that. You can't be, you meaning the state and local officials, can't be forced to help the federal government. Now, they can't interfere. And if there were evidence that, for example, Mayor Bass had sent the LAPD and told them to create a phalanx around some ICE target, that would be totally different. But the fact that the local police are not helping ICE to the extent that the federal government would like so that they could round up as many people as possible any day is of no matter.
David, we mentioned some of the other cities that are facing legal action by the DOJ in the setup. There are other sanctuary cities, so-called sanctuary cities, in California, including San Francisco. So could these cities expect similar legal action if they don't participate, as it were?
Well, potentially, Greg. I guess one thing is that I don't know if what the administration is trying to do is to set up some test cases and to bring this up to the U.S. Supreme Court for reconsideration, because as I was checking, two of the justices who are there now were on the Prince case, this case from 1997, and they both voted with Justice Scalia. So I don't know that anybody else, they might change their minds, but I think it may be that that's what they're trying to do. So if you were going to do this strategically, what you would do from the administration's point of view to make this challenge, you would pick out cities in one or more circuits of the United States. So New York is in the 2nd Circuit, Chicago's in the 7th Circuit, Denver in the 10th, and Los Angeles, like San Francisco and Oakland, are in the 9th Circuit. So it would be a bit redundant to go after other cities within the circuit, because what you're hoping to do is to set up some sort of a circuit split, some sort of a vehicle to get to the U.S. Supreme Court, to see if the U.S. Supreme Court would be willing to say somehow that when it comes to gun enforcement, gun control enforcement, you can't force localities to help, but when it comes to immigration law, somehow there's a difference there, and that the law ought to change on that. So maybe that's what they're after. And then there's a political element to this. You know, it's another way to say, look at how uncooperative these bad people are, right? Governor Newsom, he's the worst. Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, she's terrible. And we are fighting upstream for, love and motherhood and apple pie and all the rest. And we're being stopped. But it's quite clear that under the 10th Amendment, under Justice Scalia's interpretation for a majority of the Supreme Court, this is all hogwash.
Okay, but the case that you're talking.
Okay, so I just want to point that out. I like how he explained it. I kind of understand it. Again, I'm a pre-K law student. I do think it's a sticky wicket, because if they bring this back up to the Supreme Court, I mean, they only got 3.5 years. I mean, you only got so much time to get this worked out and get this eased out. Is there some other way to do this besides just fighting like we're doing through the court system, which I think is fine? It just seems like you're not going to get a lot done if you fight through the court system. There's other ways to get people to deport, self-deport, rather than do it this way. But that's just my little 2 cents. Let's go.
Talking about isn't specific about sanctuary city policies. What have the courts said about the legality of those policies?
When a lot of this came up during the first Trump administration, the administration took something of the same position, and what a lot of it had to do with was trying to take money away from cities. So there was a San Francisco case at that time, for example, and the idea was it's sort of the same, saying, look, you are not cooperating enough with us, so we're going to pull money from you. And the interpretation there, all the appellate courts as well as the district courts that handled that said you can't do that. Now, if there are contracts, and federal government, the way they do this is instead of sticks, you have to do something. You use carrots. And so what you do is you say, if you want this pot of money, right, if you want law enforcement money to accomplish A, B, C, then one of the terms of that contract is you have to cooperate with the federal government in certain ways, and then the localities and the state governments can decide, do they want to do that or not? But they're freely choosing to enter into that contract, and then they're meeting their contractual responsibilities by saying we're choosing to assist, not that we are forced to assist. That's the difference. And so we've got pretty clear law from this last time around. So unless that law changes in this area, the result ought to be the same, which is the administration should not get very far with this. Now, who's to say what the U.S. Supreme Court will do? You know, they have surprised us more than once and have been extremely deferential to this administration. So I wouldn't entirely rule out the idea that they would, come up with a different rule. But boy, the law is extremely clear in this area.
Amid continued immigration raids in the greater LA region, the Department of Justice is now filing a lawsuit claiming the city of Los Angeles is interfering.
People are being swept up because we have to cast a broader net. That's because of California's policies.
The suit filed Monday against the city, Mayor Karen Bass, and City Council President Marquise Harris Dawson asserts that the city's refusal to cooperate with federal agents has led to lawlessness, rioting, looting, and vandalism since June 6th.
And Congress gets to set immigration policy in the United States, not the city of Los Angeles. So in addition to violating the Supremacy Clause, they're also discriminating against federal agents.
Complaint alleges federal agents are singled out and treated differently than other law enforcement agents. The Sanctuary City Ordinance, established in November, prohibits federal agents from using city resources for immigration enforcement and prohibits city employees from sharing data with those agents.
All right, so let's talk about it. Let me know, what do you think about this? Do you agree with the Trump administration suing sanctuary cities? Again, that would be like LA and Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey. Do you agree with that? Or do you think there's another way that they should go about it? And do you understand how they're using the term sanctuary city, whether it be the relaxed legal aspects in the city, like drug use and 304 activities, all that kind of stuff like that? Or do you only understand it as dealing with illegal aliens in the country? What do you think? Because again, I had never heard it used like the gentleman was using it, but I guess, it makes sense. That's what they're doing. It makes sense that that's happening. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so very much for liking this video. The last time you all watched one of these videos and hit the like button, you shot it up in the YouTube algorithm. And I just want to say thank you so much for that. Thank you again also for subscribing. Many of you have joined the new DWC family, and I really do appreciate you. Welcome. And you're getting us just that much closer to hitting 50,000 subscribers. Can't wait to celebrate with you all real soon. So till next time, everybody, grace and peace.